Hola, buenos dias, muchas gracias. My name is Elliot P. Welcome to the last show on Televida. You know, I've been in stand-up comedy a long time, almost 40 years, but there was somebody before me. Who is the king who started all of stand-up comedy Kansas City? It's our next guest. We're going to introduce him here in a second, but let me put it this way. If comedy was an electric car, this guy would be Elon Musk. He started everybody, and he's a great guy. He's been a friend of mine since high school, folks. His name is David Nastor. He actually does something now called You Just Have to Laugh. So before we bring him out, we're going to play a video, and you can actually see a little bit about You Just Have to Laugh.
Don't let the fact that I've been making people laugh for 40 years as a comedian scare you. So many people do when I come and do keynotes. What's he going to say? Is he going to offend us? Is he going to do a nightclub act? No, nothing could be further from the truth. Go check out my client list on my website. These are the people I perform for. Very successful. Be happy. Be happy, folks. Find joy in the tough stuff. Stay amused. Think funny. Most important, keep laughing. And I'll come to your group and show you how and why.
David, thank you, sir.
Hola.
You got
Hola.
me started in stand-up comedy. Hola, too.
Hola.
My God.
Hola.
A little bit of a bean problem here we got. But tell us about stand-up comedy. So I got started in 1980. You found me in high school. You kind of found everybody. So for those folks that don't know, because comedy's just been around forever, how did stand-up comedy start in Kansas City, Missouri?
I got asked to be a regular at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles, and I needed a place to work. So I came back to Kansas City, ran into a guy that I went to grade school with, and said, hey, you got that room up there at Stanford's. Let's do some comedy up there. No. So I go talk to Stan Glazier. You're not going to offend my people. And I went, Stan, come on, just give us a chance. So we started on a Sunday night.
On Westport Road.
In Westport Road, little tree house. And I don't know when you came in, but Elliot came in. And he said, excuse me, Mr. Nastor, can I do comedy? Sure, come on in. Well, I'm in high school. Shh.
I remember that.
And man, you went up there, Elliot, and you nailed it.
Well, thank you.
You nailed it.
Thank you. So, but you start, everybody in Kansas City comedy that Sinbad, Eddie Griffin, they all kind of started from you. I mean, if they do the little mafia pie chart, you're John Gotti, and everybody else is, it's appropriate we're doing in this Northeast Kansas City.
There is no vowel at the end of my name.
So first of all, you grew up in Kansas City.
I grew up in Kansas City, but Elliot, I appreciate what you're
saying.
You're
a percussionist, though. You weren't a comedian to start with. You were a drummer.
No, I drum, but I made that part of my act. But I got to say something. I appreciate what you're saying, but humbly, I gave the guys and the women the opportunity, the place to be a comedian. Then they got to come in. My hardest part was juggling them, to keep the egos down, to do all that stuff. But we just had the opportunity, and the great thing about stand-up comedy, man, you go right up there, and they know if you're funny or not. By the way, real quickly, I got to tell you something. The weirdest thing happened yesterday is I was naked when the UPS man came to the door, and I'm not sure what really bothered him, that I was naked or I knew where he lived. And by the way, folks, here's another one for you. Listen, I don't know if you've seen how expensive it is going to the dentist. I mean, it's expensive. So I figure if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I eat a pack of Oreos on the way there.
Exactly.
You clean my teeth. And I found the way, Elliot, to get out of there really quick. Start licking their fingers while they work. If you just lick on the fingers, it's a little creepy to them, but boom, you'll get out. A lot of times you'll get out and they go, yeah, just keep your money. Keep your money.
Exactly. You know, it's funny you should say that, because I saw my bottle of Scope the other day, and it said it kills 99% of the germs. Well, those are the poor germs. The 1% germs, the Jeffrey Bezos germs, those are the ones I'm concerned about.
Those are the ones that kill you.
Yeah, that's right. I can deal with the poor germs. I'm afraid those germs are going to afford to go to space.
That's
those
right.
are the germs that I.
And see, this is what we do as comedians. We sit there and just riff back and forth. By the way, laughter is not the best medicine. You try laughing off a headache. Try laughing off a headache. You're not laughing off a headache.
Oh my God.
You know?
So getting back to this, so what year? This is like 1980.
80.
So it started, folks,
Started
in
in
Westport at Stanford and Sons, the little tree house over the parking
Yeah.
lot. That building is still there today. But at some point in time, you left Stanford's in Kansas City.
I got to go on. I got to work. I started in comedy. You know, you headline.
Yeah.
There's 3 levels. You either open a show, there's a middle part, and there's a show. I got to headline very quick, so I just took off work because I got married and I've got to support, a wife and 2 kids, and then a 3rd one coming. So I just hit the road. It is a comedian because people always want to know, how do you become a comic? Well,
Yeah.
it's real simple. You go on stage and you get them to laugh. And that's all you have to figure out how to do that. And once you do that, then you have to go out and be seasoned. Right now, a guy came up to me the other day and he said, I want to be a stand-up comic. I said, are you married? He goes, yeah, I'm married, 2 kids. I go, nah.
No, it's not going to happen.
You know that. You're
Yeah.
not going to do it. I mean, you were single. I
It's
was
a
single.
minor league system almost.
That's
like,
exactly
yeah.
right. It's a minor, again, you got to do it. And you're married. You're married to comedy more
Yeah.
than you are any other person. I lost relationships because they're going to say, well, why don't you spend time with me? I'd like to, but I got to go on.
No. Well, it's funny you should mention that because in that minor league system, can you tell somebody about some of the famous comics that came through Kansas City for next to nothing, for hamburgers?
Here you go. Here's for Bubkas.
Oh, yeah.
So this guy walks up to me one time at the club, real tall guy, and goes, yo, Mr. Nestor, I'd like to do some comedy if you could. I go, yeah, what's your name? My name's Sinbad. I live in Wichita. And I said, what? He's dating a woman from Kansas City, married. That means I'm married.
Yes.
So he wants to do comedy. He goes on one night. He goes on, blessed memory, Louis Anderson. Louis Anderson can't follow him.
Yeah.
Louis Anderson could not follow Sinbad. So Sinbad's living with me here in Kansas City, sleeping on a love seat smaller than this desk.
We should emphasize the man he's no act. He literally wings it
wings
every
it.
time he goes on stage.
Sinbad can work anywhere. So he's living with me. I took another comic on the road from Denver, and she said, can I perform in Kansas City? Sure. Come to Kansas City. She comes to Kansas City. Sinbad's living with me. Joel Madison brings in a friend of his from Ottumwa, Iowa. In the room, I'll get to it right now. In the room,
Yes.
the woman I
In
brought
Kansas City.
in Kansas City at the lobby of Stanford, so the woman I brought in from Denver was Roseanne Barr. The man that Joel brought in from Ottumwa, Iowa was Tom Arnold, and that's where they met in Kansas City.
A little bit of comedy history intersecting.
Yeah, and then when people like when Robin Williams really was kicking on Mork and Mindy, he wanted to come through Kansas City, and well, he did a show, but comics always want to go on. Because they never get enough.
No.
We never get it. They got to do it.
The secret is we do it for free. We get paid for the transport, you know what I mean? But and you see this in LA. I mean, there's no reason Seinfeld has to do a set on Earth, right? Or Chris Rock, but they jump on and they do it anyway.
They have to do it. Here's the you have to remember something about comics. We are egomaniac with inferiority complexes.
That's a perfect analogy. We need it, right? There's no reason for us to yearn and need it.
That's right, man. We don't go on stage because we want to. It's because we have to.
You have to. It's a fix. I tell you, after the pandemic, do you remember your first show after the pandemic?
Sure.
Or was it?
Well, I do a lot of stuff corporately. So I did a show for a healthcare organization, for a hospital.
Were you nervous?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Because it wasn't fresh in my brain.
No, I just sat back and I enjoyed the butterflies. It's like, wow, because you can kind of become a curmudgeon in comedy. You just kind of grind it out and every show's the same. But I liked having the butterflies of like, am I good enough for Poplar Bluff, Missouri? Of course I am, but
Sure.
I was nervous about
That's a great point. Elliot, I learned this when I majored in theater, and that is I have to make my comedy like it just happened right then. Because you've seen other comics who have done their act a million times, and they're on stage talking. They can be in any city. They're just talking. They're just getting through it to get paid. Well, the audiences know that.
Yes.
They know that.
They feel it, yeah.
That butterflies means I better be paying attention.
That means you're concerned about the audience.
Yeah, I better pay attention.
Yeah, they have to. Well, I've asked every comedian on this. I have to get your opinion on it, and I know you won't hold back. Tell me about your opinion of Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. What's your thought on it?
It was all a setup, and I can prove it.
What?
It's a
Are
setup.
you kidding me?
It's a setup.
No way.
It's a setup. I can prove it. It's a setup.
Hold on, folks.
Hollywood and his
Hold
fun.
on.
The greatest publicity stunt
Joseph is nodding. He doesn't believe you either.
in the history
All right.
of show
We have a
business.
last show exclusive. Tell me, folks. Tell me, David Nasher, how this is a setup. Tell me.
First of all, I'm a theater major. I was a theater major. We learned how to take a stage slap. You take a stage slap, you lean forward like this, and you keep your arms out of the way so the person can do it. As soon as that slap comes, you move with the hand. If you watch it, and I watched it, I watched it live. How many times have you seen Chris Rock standing there with his hands behind his back, leaning forward like that?
Never.
When somebody walks up to him. Never.
Well, you normally put out your hand to shake their
Yeah,
hand.
you go, man, what are you doing here? And when you see a hand come up, the first thing you're going to do, we have a human instinct to flinch. He never flinched. And he never, ever, ever let go of that card. Somebody hits you, your whole body.
Dropping everything.
And he didn't
Cell
drop
phones,
it.
change come out of the pocket.
Okay, but here's the one that nailed it for me. Here's the one that nailed it for me. Because he goes, oh my gosh, this is like the biggest night in television history. Now, why would he say that? Because when they're going over this, whoever came up with the idea was brilliant. Said, "I'll tell you what, man, you guys pull this off. This will be the biggest night in television history. You watch. Chris Rock will be hosting the Oscars next year.
You called it here.
And they will get the biggest audience they've ever getting.
That would
And if he
be.
walks out with the wrestling helmet on, that's it.
All right, all right. Well, then let's
That's
fast
my take.
forward. Dave Chappelle gets attacked on stage. Real or fake?
How come both guys, the people, weren't arrested? How come Will Smith wasn't carted out of the theater? Because when somebody commits an assault, you don't ask them if they want to leave.
No, that's
you
true.
get them out of there. How
The
come?
other guy.
How come they didn't arrest the guy with? How come they didn't arrest the guy with Chappelle? He wasn't arrested. He got the you know what kicked out of him.
Yeah.
But he wasn't arrested. That was a physical assault in front of everybody. Why was he not arrested? I don't know if that one was, and.
But at least Chappelle had a more defensive posture when he hit. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's more. Yeah.
You saw him react to it.
Yeah.
Chris stood there with his. You watch it. I've watched it so.
His face does seem to kind of go with.
He
this.
went right with the slap, and he's waiting for it. Joseph's not buying it. I don't know if Joseph's buying it at the camera. But his face was. Look at that. You come up to slap me, and I'm like this.
So it's like boom. That is kind of.
Boom. That's what happened, and he didn't drop the card. And then he said that about this is the biggest night in television history. And then I said, okay, here's where we'll seal the whole
Well,
thing.
why does Will Smith ban himself from TV after that?
Why does he care? What, he needs money?
No, he doesn't need money.
And at the same time, I'm watching. Now, how come Will Smith wasn't kicked out or escorted? Why? Because he knew he was going to get the Oscar. That's why.
That's true. That ruins their whole show if he does that.
If they get the Oscar and he's not there, what are they going to do? So they knew he was going to win the Oscar, and he knew he could do whatever he wanted. He's Will Smith, and he's a movie. He's not going to be hurt.
This is a comedy take here because the reason I give a lot of credence is because you've been on stage 1,000 times and we've had ketchup bottles and everything like that thrown, and there's an organic way you react. I've never been intimidated by a crowd member in the audience and put my hands behind my back. I've never done that.
And
I try to get my microphone between me and the folks.
Yeah, and stood there with your face out like that, and stood there when he walked up. He walked up. Watch it again. He did it. Now, folks, this is my take on it. You can take
Mark
it or
the
leave it.
tape. He says that Chris Rock's going to host next year.
I'll tell you something else people don't know. Why do I know television setup? You want an exclusive?
Yes.
I'll give you an exclusive.
Let's hear it.
You want to know why it's exclusive? I'm going up against Rosie O'Donnell on Star Search.
Let's hear this story. I like this story.
I was
Star Search with Ed McMahon. All
Years
right.
ago, and I'm practicing my set. There's a big, thick curtain between us, big, thick curtain, and I'm practicing my set. You only have 2 minutes to do your show. So I'm practicing my set. On the other side, I hear Sam Riddle, the producer, come up and he's talking to Rosie. He said, Rosie, you need to only do 2 minutes. Last week you did 2:20, and if you do 2:30, you're automatically disqualified. And we have 2 wins left for you.
Oh, wow.
Elliot,
was fixed.
I heard that with my own ears.
So what do? You still go out and do the set?
I had to go out and do the set because I wanted the tape for promotion. And then they say, Ed McMahon, they give a setup question. So Ed McMahon will go, the judges are now voting, and then whoever wins, they put up a card for Ed McMahon to ask the comic who won the question.
Correct.
So they've got a comeback line.
Yeah.
So he goes, the judges are now voting. Rosie O'Donnell signs goes up.
Just like that.
Just like that.
It's fixed. Well, it is show business, and it is fixed.
Yeah.
But we've got plenty more to talk about. We gave you some behind-the-scenes stand-up comedy stuff, actually. We weren't over your head, but this is exactly how comics talk in real life.
Yeah,
right?
we just, we're always riffing, Betty.
We're always riffing.
Coming up with
but
ideas.
The thing about it is that we asked you about the comedy after the pandemic. You've segued into something different. It's called You Just Have to Laugh.
Right.
We're going to talk about that next when you get back on the last show.
People don't like it, so what? Don't care. I've had people on a ship come up to me after a show or in the elevator and actually say to me, I don't think you're very funny. Oh yeah, it happens. And I will look at them and say, I believe you. It doesn't make any difference if they think I'm funny. I know I'm funny. If you don't think I'm funny, I understand. I said, you know what, sir? I don't really care for Bruce Springsteen's music, but I wouldn't go up to his face and tell him he sucks.
Welcome back to the last show on Televida. I'm here with David Nastor, who is has theories on everything. But what he's been doing the last 20 years?
I'll tell you my theory.
Yeah.
Social distancing with the pandemic, I never had a problem.
No.
Want to know why?
Why?
I took out my little master blaster.
Tell everybody what this is. Zoom in on this.
World known, the Nastor Blaster. World known. And what this is you hold it up to your hand, and basically you're doing this. That's all you're doing. Squeezing air into this. And so, and I'm telling you what, social distancing, you get in line anywhere. 6 feet. How about 12 feet? How about 12 feet? 15 feet, 30 feet. Master.com.
DavidNastor.com. We're going to put this up there.
Yeah, I got a buttload of them.
Yeah, literally. You know, the funny thing about that is that it's, what is it called? The creepers, right? So when they hear that, they think it's a creeper, which is you hear it before you smell it. Have you ever used that in the elevator in real life?
Are you kidding me?
I mean, when you're not doing a show or anything.
Okay, yeah. So a buddy of mine and I, we're on an elevator. We're going up. He's a buddy of mine. He's a firefighter. We get on the elevator, and this woman gets on the elevator. Oh, I got a better story than that.
All right, let's hear
Elliot,
it.
the guy that invented this, Larry Stewart, the Secret Santa. This goes right on. You just have to laugh. The man is dying of esophageal. He knows he's dying. He takes his best friend with him, and it was Stephen Wynn. You know Stephen Wynn is in
Casino,
Vegas.
yeah.
Right. He says, they're good friends. He goes, can I ride your elevators all day with this? He's dying of cancer, and he wants to keep laughing. Absolutely true. So they're riding the elevators. Who comes around the corner? This was 12 years ago. Johnny Cochran and a date. Comes around the corner. I don't think you've ever heard this story. Comes around the corner, gets in the elevator, it shuts. He presses the 9th floor. Larry Stewart does that. He said Johnny Cochran gave him a look. He said, I thought he was going to kill me. He was so disgusted. And Larry's line was, you know, I'm so sorry, but had one of them sushi burritos out of the vending machine, and my stomach ain't right. So Johnny Cochran looked straight ahead. Larry's best friend, I had one too. Is that the problem? He got up on the 4th floor, Elliot. The 4th floor. And his best friend that did that with him was Dick Butkus from the Chicago Bears.
Oh my God. You know, it's fun. I've seen Dick Butkus when I would go to Caesars. I would just see him.
Yeah.
I went twice, and it's like he was there right at Central Casting.
If you ever do that, he'll look around and go, "Is Nastor here?" Because we're buddies.
Now let me ask you this:
Yeah.
You're doing this in an elevator with a man by himself or a woman by himself. Is there a different reaction between the two guys who fart all the time?
You know what's interesting, Elliot? That's a great question. Depends what country you're in.
Really?
Yes, I was walking down the street in the ship stopped off in the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
And I'm walking down the street, and I did this, and they didn't know I had it, and they looked at me and went, "Puerco, pig, puerco," and they didn't. As soon as I showed it to them, they laughed. But when they thought I really did it, "Puerco, pig." Do that. Now, here in the United States, it depends on the person. Usually, a guy will laugh. A woman, this woman looked at me one time, and I said, "I'm so sorry, ma'am. I got a seed caught in my colostomy bag." And she laughed. Nastor.com, I got a buttload of them.
Nastor.com.
So the whole deal, and why I do this, and I've learned, Elliot, from being a comedian, look how good we all feel now from laughing. Having
Oh God,
you
I feel great. Endorphins, everything.
And I discovered why you just have to laugh to get through life's most difficult times. So that's what my series is. That's what I do.
Naster class. It's at Naster.com.
Naster.com. You go to the Naster classes on YouTube.
There's how many of them? There's a bunch.
I've got 67. There isn't a thing that you can give me that somebody has been through. I don't care how serious and tough it was.
Cancer?
Yes, that they haven't given me a story. You want a story?
Yeah, let's hear a story.
Okay. There's a woman that came up to me, and she came up to me after a show. And folks, I've got to tell you this. This is all due respect. If you're going through cancer in a difficult time, I'm not saying it's funny, but we have to laugh to release the tension. Because if you get locked into the emotion, it'll paralyze you. And you can't do this. And these are all told to me by cancer patients. This woman comes up to me after a show, and she goes, David, read my T-shirt. Just read it. And I said, yes, ma'am. The T-shirt read, of course these are fake. My real ones tried to kill me. And I said,
I love it.
I said, oh my gosh, you laugh at that? She said, do I laugh at it? You better laugh at it. And she said, after my sister, this is the best. After my sister Rowena had her mastectomy and she felt better, we went bowling again. And we're bowling. David, she's nailing strike after strike after strike. She nails her 4 strikes. She comes back and sits down, takes a big swig of beer and goes, girls, I'm going to look at that doctor, look him up, have him lop the other one off. I'm going pro.
You know, it's funny because I've had family members with cancer, and it was to break the tension. I mean, it is just a cloud sitting on you.
Man, you nailed it. It's a cloud. And you know, and now I'm going to hit the most sacred thing. And again, the most sacred ground we'll ever walk is grief. There is nothing more sacred than a loved one dying. And I'm not suggesting that you laugh at it, because you can't. But there are funny moments that happen in the middle of it, and you have to let them happen. You have to let them happen. This is a true story by Chaplain Steve Smith at Liberty Hospital. He's reciting a woman's eulogy that she wrote for him. While he's reciting the eulogy, he hears the people in the congregation saying, who's he talking about? She wasn't that nice. Boy, does this guy have the wrong funeral. He realized the eulogy she wrote for him to read wasn't accurate. She was kind of a salty, mean person. He said, so I just kept reading it, and I said, here's a song that identifies her, that she wants you to know and remember her by. It was Somewhere Over the Rainbow by the Wizard of Oz, but he was not allowed to introduce the song. And he goes, and here's a song that she wants all of you to remember her by, that exemplifies her life. Please, she wants you to remember her this way. And he nods to the funeral director to start the song on the CD, you know, from that. Hits the wrong track. Ding dong, the witch is dead comes on.
Oh my God. Well, now that you think about it, as I
and it's true.
Yeah,
it's a true
as I
story.
cross over the 63. What at your eulogy, or what should be at a comic's eulogy, given what you said?
At a comic's eulogy, when you do a eulogy, this was taught to me by many clergy. You just evoke a pleasant memory. You just evoke a pleasant memory. As soon as you say something about them, they're going to say, yep, that's Elliot, that's David, that's the way they are, and everybody's going to smile. You're not there to joke. You're there to evoke a pleasant memory so they can go, that's it. And then you can smile, because it's tough, man. You know it. We've both been through we've both been through our parents' death.
Parents' funerals, yeah.
And it's tough.
So tell me, how did people take these tests? Is it online, or how does this work? Because they can hire you. Clearly, we saw the video.
Right.
Or you can do it all online.
Well, I can do it online. I have the classes, which are free. The Naster classes are on YouTube. David Naster, you just have to live video. They're free, and we cover all these things, especially bullying, man. That's the tough one.
Tell me about bullying, because you mentioned one thing about my middle son has autism. He dealt with some bullying in school.
Yeah.
So how does this translate? Because we're another year, but how does this translate into bullying? Say you're a young person.
Okay, let's get our terms straight. Bullying is overpowering someone who you perceive as weak. That's bullying. When somebody says something to you, that's not bullying. They're just taking a shot, especially the guys. They're going to say, it could be sarcastic, it could be something. But bullying is overpowering. It can either be by physical force or by words. So if you want somebody to stop you from words they're doing, you have to outthink them. You have to show your words don't bother them. Here's a classic example. I'm on an elevator on a cruise ship, and a man comes up to me on the elevator, and he says to me, "I don't think you're very funny." And I looked at him right in the eye and said, "I believe you."
What it's really kind of like is a social jujitsu, right? Where you kind of take all their force and kind of turn it right back on them.
It's
and
the words.
that shows the irony, right?
It's listening. You have to listen. You have to play with the words or play with the idea. You have to outthink them. Wit is nothing more than listening. That's all it is. So you do it too. You know, we're smart Alex. We listen and we come up with something else. If you give into emotion, it's over. If somebody says something to it, it's over. You know,
It's kind of like in boxing terms, it's kind of they throw out this stupid comment and they leave their jaw unprotected, and that's when the comic comes in with the sarcasm.
And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to take a shot. You know, I'll give you a great example. But kids, this 6-year-old girl gets up on a cruise ship during my bully-proof seminar, and she tells the story. She's sitting she knew she was adopted. She's sitting at her desk. 3 girls come up to her, and this is bullying because they're trying to overpower her. They're trying to overpower her. And they say, "Tara, you're adopted? Really? Your parents gave," no, I'm sorry, 9 years old, excuse me. "Your parents gave you away. They didn't love you enough to keep you." And she stood up and looked at these girls and go, "No, my parents loved me and chose me. Your parents got what they got."
I love that. That is it. That's the jiu-jitsu.
That's a 9-year-old
Listen to
standing
what
up.
she said. Listen to what they said, and turned it around.
Flip it around. So I'm on a ship, and a 13-year-old kid comes up and goes, and I'm in the hot tub, and
Where is this going?
No, hold on. You gotta be careful. So I'm in the hot tub, and this 13-year-old kid comes up, and he goes, "Mr. Nastor, I saw your presentation on bullying, and people make fun of me, and I have these funny thoughts, but I'm not sure if I should say them or not because I don't want to hurt people's feelings." And I said, "Man, if you want to take a hot tub, get in here and sit. I'm just sitting here relaxing." And he said, "Oh, you sure it's okay?" He said, "It said adults can't be here." And I said, "Don't worry about it, man. You know, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Nobody's around." So he gets in and we're talking. We're distanced, so stop it, Ellie.
All right.
You sick
stories that can go
sick,
either.
sick
Go.
man. So while we're there, this old guy walks up and he said, "Get out of the hot tub. I want to get in the hot tub."
What?
And he said, "What?" He goes, "Is that your son?" I said, "No, he's not my son. We're talking. He's a good kid." He goes, "Get out of the hot tub. You get out of the hot tub right now. You're not supposed to be in here." And the kid goes, "I can't get out yet." He goes, "Why?" He goes, "I'm not done peeing." And you know what I said to that kid? I said, "Brother, you're going to be fine.
You're going to be fine.
Don't be afraid to say it." So if somebody bullies you, now here's another secret too. If you got to know when to walk away. If somebody gets in your face, you have to go, "How much do I want to invest in this? How much do I want to do it?" Especially physically. There's the other side of bullying. If you really want to stop somebody from bullying physically, you beat the crap out of them. And even if you get in a couple good shots with them, even if they beat you up, they're never going to mess with you again because they know you'll hurt them.
I like the beginning of every prison movie when a good guy's put in prison, he goes and finds the biggest guy. And doesn't tell him a joke, he actually does.
Yeah, of course, that's a movie, not real. This one kid told the story. He's 10 years old. His parents didn't even know the story. So these guys would walk down the hall and take him and throw him up against a locker. And this happened twice. It sounds like a joke, but it's not. On the third time, they come walking, and he takes himself and he throws himself up against the locker. He goes, "What are you going to do now?" And they went, "What?" He goes, "What are you going to do now? You're going to throw me on the floor?" And he jumps on the floor and goes, "They're hitting me! They're hitting me!" 10 years old.
My God.
So what are those guys going to do, man? They're going to start laughing. So, folks, first of all, you got to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
So you got to say something back to them. One of the greatest, Ellie, this is the greatest line I've ever heard. From a 13-year-old, you talked about Asperger's?
Yes,
okay.
that's exactly
This kid, he wasn't sure if he was Asperger's or he had Down syndrome. The guy that observed it on the bus wasn't sure. So the kids were making fun of him because he goes, "You're stupid, you're stupid." This kid looked at him and said, "You wish."
Well, tell me, all right, so if somebody wants to hire David Nastor, what do they do?
Nastor.com. That's where you get one of these.
Can I try? I've seen these forever.
Okay, you got to put the hole in the palm of your hand.
Okay, put the hole in the palm of your hand.
And,
okay.
and you got to get a little vibration in there.
Oh gosh.
You got to get a little air in there.
Hold on. I can't do
Well, you know,
I'm not a known farter.
you know,
Yeah, really.
these are known as pooter, and I tell people, you know, bottom line is, Elliot, you got to lick it, but you got to lick your own pooter.
Well, David, there we go. Thank you so much for starting me in comedy, starting
Brother,
everybody in Kansas City
Folks,
in
if you
comedy.
have a chance to see Elliot, see him. He's very funny.
Oh,
He's
that
got,
is so nice.
You got the greatest facial expressions, and he's a generally funny, good guy, and you know, you don't see that a lot in comedy.
I appreciate that. Well, we always thank Guillermo. He's the patron saint of bilingual talk show personalities because, you know, this is Televida. David Nastor, thank you for being on the last show on Televida. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.